In just 2 weeks, one rising MLB player went from promising talent to one of the most talked about controversies in baseball. 4 separate incidents, teammates frustrated, opponents calling him out. And now, serious questions are being asked: was this just heat-of-the-moment behavior, or is something bigger going on behind the scenes? Because what happened next made everything even harder to ignore. It started with a comment that instantly raised eyebrows across the league. Daltton Rushing didn't just react to a loss, he suggested something fishy was going on when the Rockies beat the Dodgers. That's a serious accusation. The problem? The numbers didn't back it up. Only 2 hits came on first pitches that entire game. Even his own manager shut it down, pointing to poor execution instead. So now the question wasn't about the loss anymore, it was about him. Was this frustration or something deeper starting to show? And what he did next crossed a completely different line. Days later, things took a much darker turn. During a play at the plate, Young-Hoo Lee was thrown out trying to score and stayed down in visible pain. It was the kind of moment where players usually show concern, no matter the team. But instead, Daltton Rushing looked back and muttered a disrespectful comment that cameras clearly picked up. It wasn't hidden, it wasn't subtle, and it immediately raised questions about sportsmanship. Because in baseball, there's an unwritten code, and this completely broke it. But somehow, the very next day was even worse. Then came the moment that sparked the biggest backlash yet. On a routine play, Daltton Rushing launched into a hard, late slide straight into Willie Adams, and he wasn't even close to the bag. It looked reckless, maybe even intentional. Fans and analysts immediately questioned it. What made it worse? Luis Ariz didn't stay quiet, calling it not good baseball after the game. And while Rushing had been hit by a pitch earlier, this felt like misdirected frustration. Because now it wasn't just talk, it was actions. And somehow, the final incident crossed an even bigger line. And then came the moment that may have revealed the most. On a routine play, Miguel Amaya smartly took an extra base, mainly because Daltton Rushing was slow to react. It was his mistake. But instead of owning it, Rushing turned and directed an insult at his fellow catcher. That's when things got uncomfortable. Nico Hoerner noticed immediately, reacting with a sharp glare. Days later, he confirmed what was said and admitted he regretted not stepping in sooner. Because now, this wasn't about opponents anymore, it was inside the clubhouse. And that's when the bigger questions started forming. At this point, you could try to explain each moment away on its own. Maybe the accusation was frustration. Maybe the comment was heat of the moment. Maybe the slide was retaliation. But when you stack all 4 incidents together, it tells a very different story. Daltton Rushing wasn't just involved in one controversy, he was at the center of all of them in less than 2 weeks. Different situations, same pattern. And that's what started to concern people, because this no longer looked random, it looked consistent. And that's where the timing makes this even more dangerous. Here, what makes this situation even more concerning? Daltton Rushing isn't a veteran star with years of credibility, he's still early in his MLB journey. Yes, his 2026 start has been solid, even impressive at times, but he hasn't earned the kind of status where behavior like this gets overlooked. That's the risk, because in baseball, reputations form fast and they stick even longer. One bad stretch can define how players, coaches, and even umpires see you moving forward. So now, it's not just about performance anymore, it's about perception. And the reaction around the league is already starting to prove that. And now, the reaction is starting to spread. Around the league, people are noticing. Fans are calling out the behavior, analysts are questioning maturity, and debates are heating up fast. Some defend Daltton Rushing, saying it's just competitive fire. Others believe he's crossed the line multiple times. Because once a narrative like this forms, it doesn't stay quiet. It follows you into every game, every at-bat, every interaction. And that's where things can spiral quickly, on the field and inside the clubhouse. So the real question now, what happens next? At the end of all this, the talent isn't really in question. Daltton Rushing has shown he can compete at a high level, but right now that's not what people are focused on. It's the attitude, the reactions, the pattern that's becoming harder to ignore. Because in baseball, your reputation can build just as fast as your stats, and sometimes it lasts even longer. If this continues, it won't just affect how opponents see him, it could impact his own team too. So now everything comes down to one thing: does he adjust, or does this become who he is?